Today, a man named Eric sued Twitch for $25 million because he can't stop masturbating to the female streamers on the platform and blames Twitch for his dick always being rubbed raw. Yes, this is a real lawsuit. It was actually served to Twitch today, and it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever read, and I can't wait to take you through it all. It's all public, so you bet your sweet asshole we're diving in here real hot. I'm about to take you on a journey that not even Tolkien could do. This is an adventure that you're just not ready for, with a protagonist that has a lot more to him than meets the eye. Like all good fairy tales, let's go ahead and start with a little bit of background on our main character. The plaintiff has been a Twitch Prime and Turbo subscriber for years now, whom also suffers from depression, OCD, panic disorder, agoraphobia, and Crohn's disease. And because of these maladies, he heavily relies on the internet for all his entertainment purposes, as many others do during this difficult time. And due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many people have to stay home for entertainment and are quarantining themselves. Now, let me just say, I don't know if this was written by a real lawyer, because this honestly reads like it was written by him himself. Like, this seems like something I'd fucking read on Reddit. Caps locking, have to stay home for entertainment. You can really feel the bitterness in that statement right there. Now, skipping ahead a little bit, he's always on the computer, constantly using and watching Twitch. Mr. Estevillo suffers from sex addiction due to his obsessive-compulsive disorder that makes him obsessed with sex and compulsions. Twitch has extremely exacerbated his condition by displaying many sexually suggestive women streamers through Twitch's twisted programming and netcode, making it nearly impossible for the plaintiff to use Twitch without being exposed to such sexual suggestive content. Now, I don't know what kind of experience Eric is getting on Twitch, but when I go on there, I'm not getting like titties shoved down my throat or anything. I'm not seeing a bunch of streamers, legs over their head, forceps in their vagina, spreading it apart for a big gape or anything like Eric seems to be describing here. This man's describing Twitch like he's Professor Xavier using Cerebro, and he's jacking into Cerebro, and all he's seeing is a bunch of naked women and vagina and fat asses in front of him, and he can't help but jerk himself off. It's very easy to use Twitch without seeing any kind of sexual content at all. There is no way for the plaintiff to filter streams he'd like to watch based on gender, male or female. Therefore, the plaintiff has to choose a game and/or category to watch, with thumbnails showing these scantily clad women alongside men of being the only streaming channels available to him. He cannot filter out the women on the site. No viewer can. Twitch doesn't have a gender filter. This man is so unwell, he can't so much as see a woman in a thumbnail without masturbating himself to injury and physical pain. Now, he says he doesn't go outside, and that's probably for the best, because if he did, he might encounter a woman, and then what the fuck is he gonna do there? Just beat his meat till it's raw and destroyed? He'd give himself trench foot on his penis because his hand would be so goddamn sweaty, and then suggests a gender filter option, or says, it's a bad thing that you can't filter out women on the site. That's so fucked up. That's like a dude that's starting keto for the first time who has to get rid of all the bread in his house because he might just lose control if he so much as sees some carbs around him. That's this guy with women. Do I even need to explain why having a way to filter out people based on gender is a bad fucking idea? Eric then taps into his personal spank bank folder on his old crusty computer here, releasing all kinds of photos that he's taken of the streamers during their streams, or photos that he's taken from their modeling shoots off the platform. I guess as a way to try and show a judge, hey, look at this, look at all these good looking women doing poses and shit. I have to jerk off to this. You're probably jerking off to this too right now just for me showing you this montage. The plaintiff, who suffers from sexual addiction, has suffered much worse given that Twitch has exacerbated his condition. This is like the 20th time they mention sexual addiction. They talk about it like it's a fucking superpower for Eric here. The plaintiff's username on Twitch is the real Eric Estevillo, and he is following exactly 786 female streamers while following 0 male streamers, with that number continuing to grow as the plaintiff has little control over his addiction. Yeah, honestly, that part's just pretty impressive. 786 female streamers he's following with 0 men. That's a lot of dedication right there. That's a lot of work that you have to put into that. You have to actively avoid seeing any men on the platform and only seeking out women. This guy had to have scrolled to the bottom of every single category just looking for a new woman that he hasn't followed. I'm pretty sure he's followed at least 50% of every female streamer on that platform. So that is nothing shy of perhaps a Guinness World Record. It's hard to say for sure. It's going to have to be verified. And it was around this part in the lawsuit where I started thinking to myself, yeah, this is probably fake. It's probably just a joke. So I decided to do a little investigation of my own and dig a bit deeper into this mysterious soul soldier of semen squirting Eric Estavillo. This guy is literally exactly like the robots from our new music video Skynut, the cum-powered robots. Eric is powered by cum. He cannot exist without coming in his pants at least 40 times a day while watching Twitch, allegedly, according to his lawsuit. So, by Googling his name, I eventually was led to this article from 2009 where he was suing World of Warcraft. He was also engaged in 4 other lawsuits at the time with Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, and even 11 years ago, he was known as a serial suer with a ton of bullshit lawsuits. But as you can tell from the title, he made us a promise. He said, you know what, gamers, I'm done with this. I'm gonna go down the path of justice and righteousness now. No longer will I dabble in sin with these terrible fucking awful lawsuits. I'm gonna do the right thing. So after this, I'm gonna give all this money to God because that's what God wants. God came to me in a wet dream and said, Eric, I don't like what you're doing, but if you do win these cases, I want that money personally, and I don't want you ever touching Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo again. You hear me? And Eric said yes. But then fast forward 11 years and look what happened. He's sinning again. You know, he needed his fix. He was scratching his neck. He just needed that fix. He needed it. He needed to sue someone else. So now we're here. He's suing Twitch. Also, it's not like he's been quiet in the last 11 years. He sued other companies as well. He sued Epic Games and shit like that. So he's still been active, but let's read this article from 2009 to get some more insight on him as a character. So here we get a little bit more character development from Eric. That WoW lawsuit, that's my final lawsuit, so people know I'm not suing any more companies. In case you missed it, he's currently engaged in 4 separate lawsuits: Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony, Activision, Blizzard. 1 lawsuit for each major console market and 1 for the PC, so 4 total. Aside from seeking money, we asked Estavillo what his intentions were behind launching the multiple lawsuits. What I wanted to do was exploit the weaknesses of each console and show that they're not impervious to flaws. I told this to other interviewer and it's true, I actually have no friends. I rely on online gameplay for socialization. So this Sith Lord actually has a very tragic backstory. He admits that he has no friends and the only socialization he gets is through these online games, but he can't help but bite the hand that feeds him by attacking the platforms that are giving him this socialization. It's as though he's more than just a sex addict, he's also a lawsuit addict, and the lawsuits are taking over his life. You know, he only has the friends from online, and yet he's going after the very platforms that's giving him those opportunities to have those friends because he's addicted to lawsuits. It's actually very sad stuff. Now, after reading through the article, I found his YouTube channel where he proudly proclaims that yes, he is the guy who is famous for his terrible lawsuits. And that's when it got even sadder to me. That's when I realized that the reason he's doing these lawsuits truly is just for some attention. He doesn't expect to win any money. He doesn't expect anything in return except for a couple articles written about him and people reaching out to hear from him. This guy apparently has no friends, according to the article, and this is really his only outlet for attention and the only way he's able to even have people know his name. He hasn't won any of the lawsuits, obviously. In fact, it hasn't even come close to him winning even a single penny from all of it. So he's doing all of it at a huge loss to him because it's expensive to make shit like this. So he's spending a lot of money just hoping that people will at least know who he is. And I think that's extremely sad. And it doesn't take away from the laughable lawsuit that he has against Twitch, because that's still fucking great. And it's now, knowing this about Eric, I can at least identify that he's just making fun of it. He's just having fun with this lawsuit, making it as crazy as it can be, so people can talk about it and talk about him. And while I still hate the fact that people can just sue people for anything, for any reason, and all kinds of just terrible, awful, garbage fucking lawsuits just get tossed around constantly, it's a plague. I still hate all of that, but I can almost excuse Eric for doing it because it's all he has. It's his whole identity, just being the dumb lawsuit guy against video game companies and shit. It's really sad, but it at least feels self-aware now going back to the lawsuit against Twitch. So now it's time we turn our attention back to the Masturbator's Bible here. Twitch does not limit how many female viewers a customer can follow via their website. And why should they? Like, what the fuck is Twitch gonna do? Hey, excuse me, loser. It looks like you're following 150 female streamers all within the last 2 hours. We're gonna go ahead and put a little block on your account here for about a week where you can't follow more female streamers for at least a week. So stop doing your weird shit, please. Now it continues, but let's just go to the more spicy shit. This is when he starts talking about how the lack of moderation over how many female streamers he can follow and jerk off to has harmed him in the real world. So, A. The plaintiff had purchased a fleshlight previously, which went largely unused, until Twitch. Mr. Estevillo began using this device while he watches female Twitch streamers and often ends up chafing his penis every day with the device, making it extremely painful and constant, which ends up causing redness and mild infections at the tip, since the fleshlight is electrical and also vibrates. Now, you can call Eric a lot of things, but cheap is not one of them. He shelled out the big boy bucks for this kind of Turbo Arcade Edition XL fleshlight here. All the bells and whistles vibrates. I mean, that's you're getting your money's worth on that. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck in that regard right there. That's a quality fleshlight. The plaintiff, therefore, often has to use Neosporin on his tip to prevent necrosis. Yeah, that probably isn't Twitch's fault that you cannot stop fucking your fleshlight to the point where your penis almost suffers from necrosis. I'm sorry to hit you with the cold water. That's probably not on Twitch. Moving on to the next one. The plaintiff often stays up for hours staring at the breasts of girl streamers, which ends up damaging his retina and making his eyes bloodshot for days. Eye drops do nothing to hide his shame from his parents, and he is often questioned by people he comes in contact with as to why his eyes are so bloodshot and red, which leads to further embarrassment and isolation. Now, this is where it kind of falls apart for me because there's a consistency error here. He states early on that he didn't leave the house. He doesn't go outside except for some very specific tasks where he's not often interacting with people. But in this example here, he's around his parents. He's often questioned by other people, so he is socializing with people outside of the gaming sphere, which goes against everything he was saying before. So it almost seems like this is just some made-up fan fiction at this point. I believe he needed to work on the consistency here, but it is still a good point, I suppose, as far as like, look how dangerous this is. I can't stop looking at titties. He makes a good point, I suppose, but it does seem pretty fake. And then moving on further to C, the plaintiff once ejaculated on his PC monitor, causing a short circuit and small fire within the electrical system of his gaming rig and causing his apartment to black out temporarily. Yeah, this one, I know for a fact can't be true because I've done that. I've ejaculated on my PC monitor, and you know what didn't happen? A fucking citywide blackout. Nothing happened. The monitor didn't go dark or anything. It wasn't ruined. I just wipe it off with a little tissue and I go about my night. Now, unless Eric's cum is just totally different from every other human being's, the pH is totally just fucking absurd. It's changed on a cellular level thanks to the excessive masturbation he experiences to the point where now he's shooting out actual bombs from his penis. I just don't think this is a real story. I don't think Eric's cock is, shooting jizz like Reptile's acid bombs in Mortal Kombat. It's probably not, hitting his computer monitor and blowing that shit up. It's probably just like a little made-up fanfic story here. And now we'll just skip to the last chapter of this beautiful Harry Potter novel, Chapter 7, Request for Relief. Plaintiff respectfully prays for a judgment against defendant for injunctive and immediate cancellation and permanent ban of the female streamers listed above, which is a ton of fucking streamers, by the way. It's pretty much every big female streamer you could even think of, along with any other female or male streamers that violate Twitch's own terms of service in a similar way. Also for the permanent ban of any and all female or male streamers that have not yet been permanently banned for such sexually suggestive content as has been displayed in this lawsuit. 25 million in punitive damages to be split between the plaintiff and the other Twitch Prime Turbo subscribers, with any monies left over to be donated to both COVID-19 and Black Lives Matter charities and funds of the court's choosing. So Eric, wishing you the best of luck in this lawsuit here, but buddy, I don't see it working out for you, but again, that's not Eric's goal. But yeah, I thought this was probably one of the best lawsuits I've ever read. Granted, I haven't read too many, but this one, it's gonna be hard to top this. This is an actual work of art. Eric Estevillo has sued fucking hundreds of companies by this point, I imagine, but this is definitely his magnum opus. This is the best lawsuit he's probably ever cooked up. This one is something special. This is a fucking spicy meatball here. It is a great one. Excellent work with this, Eric. It's not going to pan out, but I think you've accomplished what you wanted to, so congratulations there. And yeah, that's really about it. See ya.